Welcome to Module 5 of the Horse Council of British Columbia Emergency Preparedness Series. We will cover biosecurity in this module. Biosecurity is the outcome of all actions taken to manage the risk disease represents to the health of animals and humans. Even during times of crisis, biosecurity needs to be part of emergency preparedness planning. There are several risks in regards to biosecurity. This includes the risk of spread of disease, loss of animal health and potentially loss of life of an animal, pain and suffering of the animal, increased veterinary costs and cleanup costs of facilities, loss of performance ability of individual animals, and emotional stress to the owners. Good risk mitigation practices start with educating yourself on good biosecurity protocols. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has a comprehensive biosecurity document called the National Farm and Facility Level Biosecurity Standard for the Equine Sector, which is our national biosecurity guidelines. Implementation of biosecurity procedures at all facilities, training of volunteers or staff on biosecurity protocols, developing a standard operating procedure for biosecurity, even at evacuation sites, identification of entry and exit points for all facilities, ensuring that all visitors log in and out of the site, and limiting the commingling of animals from different properties when possible. Considerations for your biosecurity program include: for disease responses and non-disease emergencies, ensure that protocols, roles, and responsibilities, along with emergency contact numbers and facility identification, are circulated and visibly available. In an event of a disease outbreak, the welfare of sick animals is protected, and that measures are implemented to minimize the potential disease risks to other animals. For non-disease emergencies, such as flooding and fire, the health and welfare of all the animals are protected during evacuation, transport, and housing to and in alternative facilities. Proper preparation ahead of time will help to prevent the spread of disease. In preparation, you will want to first identify an individual ahead of time who will study the biosecurity protocols and advise the team during an emergency event. They will also need to identify access and options for penning, segregation, isolation, and/or quarantine if or when you may need to segregate animals based on health status or potential exposure. They will need to create a list of biosecurity items and where you can source them from. And it is advisable to identify a certified animal health technician to assist and advise the team. Here is a list of examples of possible supplies you may need for biosecurity, starting with rubber boots, boot covers, scrub brushes, disinfectant, a bucket or pan to mix the disinfectant in, hand soap, disposable coveralls, face masks, safety glasses, latex gloves, and sign-in sheets. This section is going to cover how to implement your biosecurity plan. Your biosecurity needs will vary depending on the emergency event. You will want to contact the individual that you identified to oversee the biosecurity program. They, in turn, will help identify the level of biosecurity required and for what species you will be working with. You will need to obtain the necessary biosecurity supplies, identify your access to and options for penning, segregation, isolation, and/or quarantine if those options are advised, post biosecurity procedures at your evacuation sites, circulate biosecurity expectations to all affected personnel, print off the sign-in sheets as needed, set up a biosecurity station at receiving, provide all the necessary supplies to your volunteers, including your transporters, and monitor all biosecurity practices. Here is an example of a biosecurity tracking list. You can track the date and names of persons present at the site, what company or organization they are with, what their vehicle license plate number is, the purpose of their visit, and if they have been in contact with an injured or diseased animal. In the event of a disease outbreak, this will assist with tracking the origin of the disease to help further prevent spread. We will now wrap up Module 5 with a quick review of the key points. You will want to refer to the CFIA National Farm and Facility Level Biosecurity Standard for the equine sector for more information on developing your biosecurity plan. You will then want to make sure you train your volunteers on biosecurity protocol. You will want to ensure all visitors log in and log out at your facility, and limit commingling of animals from different properties when possible. You have now reached the end of Module 5 and can proceed to Module 6 on identification.